Okay, we got that out the way. Let's have a moment of silence to remember why we are here. Thank you. All right, this is a topic discussion meeting, and the topic I have chosen is, and that is the Matrix Model B, Relapse Prevention Group Handout by Hazelden.
Yeah.
And so this is a very important piece of material that we're going to be going over. And if you ever go on our YouTube page, you may see where we have taught from this same.
And the link on the YouTube video, the link is in there if you want to get the material for your own self or for your own learning.
All right. And so it says you may share on this topic or not, or on something else that relates to recovery. Please be mindful of the amount of people in the room and our time frame when sharing. And so with all that said, we could get going. We can start this meeting.
All right. Well, today we're going to deal with Handout 2, Relapse Prevention Group. And we're going to do Handout 2 and 3A and 3B. But right now we're going to start off with boredom. You can read, Ms. Karen.
All right. It
Thank you.
says, often people who stop using drugs and alcohol say life feels boring. Some of the reasons for this feeling might be these. 1. A structured routine life feels different from an addict lifestyle. Brain chemical changes during recovery can make people feel flat or bored. And 3. Drug and alcohol users often have huge emotional swings, high to low and back to high. Normal emotions can feel flat by comparison.
She said, often people who stop using drugs and alcohol say life feels boring. Some of the reasons that one of the ones I like is the first one is a structured routine life feels different from an addictive lifestyle. When you switch lifestyles and for years you've possibly been living an addictive lifestyle and now you're trying to convert over to living a structured lifestyle, the things in the structured lifestyle seems like there's no excitement, if you will. However, you have to get used to the structured lifestyle, and there's a lot more excitement to me in the structured lifestyle because I didn't have to worry about me overdosing and dying in the structured lifestyle. Is it possible to die and still be living a clean, structured lifestyle? Absolutely. But there's no risk of dying using any substances when you live in the structured lifestyle. But the boredom part is something that you're going to have to get used to. I think everybody at some point in time will experience that part where it says, this is boring. There's a lot of different things that I might do now in my lifestyle, structured lifestyle. For instance, I like to go to Home Depot or Lowe's and get stuff for my house. Before, when I was living an addictive lifestyle, I was going to Home Depot to get things that I could sell to get drugs. So I still like going there, but I go there for different reasons. So it's still exciting for me to go there. I just changed the reason why I go. So it's not boring. It's going to be boring sometimes. Some of the things that you do, you just got to figure out what's your structured lifestyle. What's the excitement about living in the structured lifestyle?
And for me, I'm in recovery, and so I just got tired of being sick and tired. If you ever heard that phrase, I'm one of the guys who just was tired of doing the same routine, tired of being broke, tired of being doing things that would keep me in trouble. And so I know at first it was a struggle. Once I went to recovery and got myself together, it was a slow process. And then I began to feel comfortable living a clean and sober, well, I don't want to say clean, a recovered sober lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're trying to instill today and inform you that, hey, it's all right to feel out of place at times.
And bored.
And bored. And so find someone or something to do.
That's
if
right.
you like to ride a bike,
Find something to do.
Karen, what do you do
To not be bored.
To not be bored.
I watch television. I binge Netflix.
Okay.
I try to work on maybe some things that I maybe put aside. Like for instance now, I know that for a long time I have been putting aside school, and my free time I try to get myself together and try to do everything I can so I can finish that part of my plans or my goals.
Yeah, that's very important. You know, now that I'm not doing the addictive lifestyle, my lifestyle has changed for the better. And what I mean by that, I am full-time employed. I have my own vehicle that I'm still paying on, but still I'm able to have my own. Before, I didn't have none of those things because my mindset was on something way different. But now that I am in recovery, my mind set on something positive as opposed to negative.
Yeah, the boredom part, number 2, it says the brain chemistry changes during recovery. The brain chemical changes during recovery can make people feel flat or bored. When, again, you got to remember the change that you're going to experience from one lifestyle from an addictive lifestyle to a structured lifestyle. You also have brain chemistry and brain things going on in your brain that has to get used to. Most likely, individuals have been doing the addictive lifestyle for so many years. When they stop using and experience this part that feels bored, it's part of the brain process that has to convert over. I'm not an expert or educated in the brain chemistry and what goes on there, so I ain't going to go too far in there. I will tell you to search out professionals in that aspect. But I will speak upon me knowing that changes are going on inside of our head as well as change going on outside of our lifestyle. So the boredom part is really a normal thing that people are going to experience, but you can get over it. That's what recovery coaches are here for. We're here for you. We want to help you with your recovery so we can try to figure out some type of plan, wellness plan to help you in those areas.
Yeah.
And I have to say, given that I've been affected, by someone who has been battling substance abuse, for me it's not so much boredom. So when the person is not actively using, I feel peace. And I think it's the opposite way for me. I feel like structure and routine is what composes me to be sane,
Yeah.
because I need to have some structure because I have no control over the person or the person's use, so I need a little bit of structure and control over my life.
And that's nice. And she's speaking from a normal state of mind of someone who doesn't use drugs or never used drugs. And so when you are experiencing brain-altering substance, it also oftentimes have you having distorted thought. And so, yeah, of course there's going to be a change because you're going to feel that which is abnormal is normal because you're not in your right state of mind. And so once you become sober and in recovery, you understand that what you thought, let me say it again, was normal was actually abnormal.
Yeah, it was your normal. Everybody else looking like, to you is like, that's the same way with smoking. Like a lot of times somebody might whoever smoke marijuana, everybody has their choice to do whatever they want. But the person that smokes, not just marijuana, but the person that smokes always think it smells good to you, when actually it stinks. But they think they think there's nothing wrong. What's wrong? Boom, boom. And I'm sitting there thinking, no, it actually stink. Like, you stink. But that's the same way with the lifestyle from structure to addictive lifestyle. It's going to be so many different changes. Like he said, one's normal. You're going to think this is normal when it's really abnormal and it's really not good for you. The other number 3, it says drug and alcohol users often have huge emotional swings, high to low and back to high. Normal emotion can feel flat by comparisons. It's weird that this has this statement in here like about highs and lows because you actually didn't have to suffer through any substance use disorder and still experience the same thing. I know people who never had an alcohol issue or had any substance issue, and they tell me all the time they have highs and lows, and they have ups and balances, and they have days where they feel bored. So actually, to try to make other individuals who might be struggling from the process of changing from a structured lifestyle to an addictive lifestyle to a structured lifestyle, the boredom phase will always be in the picture, but you will have to get through it.
Yes, and also to add to what Mike is saying is that basically, a lot of times those who are in recovery, sometimes, I've said it a few times, that we substitute one addiction for another. And if you're not drinking alcohol or using substance or drugs, sometimes people may go to stimulants, whereas it may be caffeine.
Yeah.
So if you're having you wake up and your day is going, you may say, well, they ain't going, so good. Let me get me a pick-me-up,
Wake me up.
a tall cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And then if you're not careful, especially those of us who are in recovery, if we drink too much caffeine, that can be addictive as well.
Absolutely. It could be, because you can substitute one for the other. And that happens a lot, actually. You know what I mean? That happens a lot. And it's very, I call it sneaky or subtle. You know what I mean? You might not even realize that you actually did that. And you basically got out of one thing and then went and got into this. But you got to pay attention to it because it can lead you back to something else if you don't change that type of cycle.
And that's what I like about you, Mike. I watch some of your Instagram posts and you constantly working out. Instead of allowing, that's your motivation, that's your energy, that's your boost. Something healthy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, as opposed to putting stimulants
inside your body.
Something
Something that take kids, even if it's walking or just spending some quality time outside or whatever. You gotta find different things to try to counteract the boredom. Okay, let's move. Ms. Kern, number of people.
People with longer sobriety rarely complain of continual boredom, so these feelings do change. Meanwhile, there are some ways to help reduce this feeling.
Look at that there. We was just talking about that. Mm-hmm. People with longer sobriety rarely complain or continual boredom. See, after a long period of time, I told you it do change. I don't know how it goes on in the brain part. I do know the boredom thing will come about a change, but it takes time. Longer sobriety, that means the longer you stay in your recovery, the easier or the more the things will change. But the key is to maintain that sobriety, because you can get the sobriety today and not have it next week. Mm-hmm. Key is maintaining it.
You want me to read the questions?
Cool.
Have you started, review your recreational activity list. Have you started doing things that you enjoyed before using drugs and alcohol? Have you begun new activities that interest you?
Have you started doing things that you enjoyed before using drugs and alcohol? So many people that I talk to, I always try to say, what did you like doing before you used drugs? They said, man, nobody never really asked me that. This is important, because a lot of times we gave up on our hopes and our dreams. Everybody wanted to do something or had something in their mind when they were younger, teenagers or whatever. Try to go back and think about, what was it that I used to like to do before drugs? Drugs just took away all the things that you used to like to do. So if you think about, what did I like doing? Did I like, writing? Did I like playing sports? Did I like, whatever that is, find out what that is, and that possibly can help you when you're bored.
Yeah. And so hobbies are great to get into. And if you like playing basketball, you like going fishing when you was a young person, maybe your kin folks, probably say, hey, let's go fishing. And if you got out of that, get back into it if you enjoy it. But find something constructive as opposed to something that is destructive.
Yeah, especially when you get bored.
Yep.
Number 2, it says, can you plan something to look forward to? How long has it been since you've taken a vacation?
Wow, that's a good one.
Man, when was the last vacation you had? Pre-COVID.
There you
Before
go.
COVID.
Oh my goodness.
Before COVID, when was the last vacation you had?
Yeah.
You gotta find some place to take a vacation. How long has it been since you took a break? I asked a young gentleman, I believe Monday. I asked him, when was the last time he took some quality time for himself? And the reason why I asked him that, because a lot of times people go to work, go home, go to sleep, get up, go to work, go home, get sleep, go to. It's that same cycle. They never actually take time for themselves. Due to COVID right now, and a lot of people, people are traveling, but at their own risk. Right now, a lot of people can't take vacations. But I remember my spiritual father, my pastor had told me, he said, sometimes you don't have to go to Florida. You could just go one town over in New Jersey. And I understood that. I remember one time we didn't go on a vacation, my wife and I, we had went and got a hotel in Cherry Hill, and we went by these trees. They had a nice, like a pond there, and we was taking pictures without people seeing the houses and stuff. It was just pictures, and everybody was like, where y'all at? Where y'all at? And we was right over it. We was in Cherry Hill for the weekend, but it was a vacation. We just needed to get away, and we was only in Cherry Hill, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to figure out, can you plan something to look forward to? How long has it been since you've taken a vacation? You don't have to leave the state to take a vacation. You can go a town over from where you live. Mm-hmm. Whatever you have to do to counteract against the boredom that you're feeling when you're trying to live a structured life versus addictive life, you have to pull out all stops.
Yeah.
You have to pull it all out.
Me and my wife, we enjoyed going down south, Virginia Beach. It's called, Virginia's known for lovers. And so we go out there and we sit out. And it's all about self-care. We're not, saying, because some people don't, like Mike said, you might don't have the finances, or maybe you can't go due to COVID. But it's all about self-care, doing something healthy with whoever it may be. Remember, slow down, pause, and take care of yourself. All right. Anything that you think of can be as far as a vacation or relaxing for you?
I just think vacation could be also a change of perspective. Like you said, you don't have to go out, maybe a car ride, taking some time for yourself. Maybe a mini vacation. Because you're so overwhelmed and thinking about everything that's going on in your life. And sometimes you just need to stop.
That's it. Take a car ride. We do that too. Jump in the car and just turn the music on and ride.
Number 3 says, talk about this feeling with a mate or a close friend. Does he or she feel bored too? Does he or she have any interesting suggestions?
Yeah, you can talk to somebody. Always talk to somebody. You find out if they don't feel bored. They say, why you don't feel bored? You can ask them, I'm bored. What about you? Nah, they might be like, I'm not bored. I just did this, or I would like to go do this. Talk to them. Ask them. Don't be afraid to share how you feel with somebody, especially when you're in that state of feeling too bored and you try not to go back to the addictive lifestyle.
Be creative. Those who are in long-term recovery, a lot of times, we may not be creative at first, but start to be, creative and say, you know what, maybe we just go to the beach and you don't even have to get in the water. Me, myself, I can't swim that good, but I just like going out because something about the ocean, me and my wife, we'll go to Atlantic City and we'd take out chairs, which a lot of times she would suggest it, and I would tell, okay, I'm in agreement. And we just sitting out there, side by side, reading our books, listening to the ocean, breeze. Oh man,
I can picture it.
It's just
I'm already on there.
Yeah, it's therapeutic.
So, anything you have to use everything you possibly can when you're dealing with being bored, because the addictive brain will use that to trigger you to go back to using. So you got to use everything that you possibly can, no matter what it is. Number 4.
Number 4 says, try going back to scheduling. Forcing yourself to write out daily activities helps you see where you can schedule in more interesting experiences.
Try going back to scheduling. When you schedule things, leave a spot open for something that might come up or something that you might want to do, and also leaves you time to fluctuate. Something might pop up and you need to move something out at this particular time. So try to schedule it, and then you can be have more room for different activities of your life. If you just going to work, after you come from work, you might be trying to do some online courses or going back to school or whatever it might be. It's just schedule, but always go back to scheduling.
Yes, the structure is so important when you're able to prioritize.
Yes.
You know, when everything's just scattered over here and over there, you doing this, the kids, the school, the work, you know, sometimes it becomes frustrating. So learn to be organized if you haven't been organized. And so those are some good tools that we're trying to share with you today.
Scheduling.
Mm-hmm.
Scheduling is always good, regardless if you're coming out along on recovery or not overall, because everybody that probably watched this video or listened to it may not be in recovery. They might have someone that they are helping in recovery. For instance, when I was going to 12-step NAA meeting, my wife would ask me to do meetings that were around her work schedule so she can drop me off and pick me up. So she had, I had to work with her, and she worked with me, everything around her schedule. So even if you're not in recovery and you're helping someone in recovery, both of y'all should sit down and map out this schedule. You know, because that's what we used to do. She said, what meetings you want to go to? And she said, well, this is my schedule. What meetings you want to go to outside of my work schedule? I said, that's kind of smart. I was going to try to pick one when you was at work, so I didn't have to go. But anyway.
She's going.
That's the addictive brain. That's how the addictive brain thinks. Well, let me pick these meetings. She said, no, but the meeting says meetings after work. I thought, you know, she couldn't read past 4 o'clock or something. I don't know. That's how the addictive brain works. So you have to counteract that. And again, not only people who are struggling with substance use disorder, if you are a loved one and you're trying to help somebody that's going through that, both of y'all need to sit down and come up with a particular schedule.
Number 5 says, do something risky that will further your personal growth. Sometimes boredom results from not challenging yourself enough in your daily living.
Woo-hoo-hoo! It's basically saying challenge yourself. You probably think you can't do something, push yourself. You can do it. My wife, again, I'm talking about my wife a lot, but my wife is one of my greatest motivators. If I'm sitting in the house and I'm doing something and I'm taking the test and I get frustrated, she say, just get away from the computer for a second. Leave it alone. Come back to it an hour later. And that strategy has always worked. I always push myself, and then you got to do the same thing. Personal growth is very important. If you achieve something in any area of your life and you're dealing with your sobriety, keep pushing yourself. You can. It's actually more in you that you can do. You don't have to just stop at getting clean from whatever substance you used to do. You might as well keep pushing yourself farther and further and further and see, you know, you never know where you might end up.
And one of the things I encourage those who may be watching, if you having a problem with education or you want to go back to school, do that.
Yeah.
You know, here I am, you know, after coming out of incarceration, after being in recovery, you know, when I came home, I was working these factory warehouse jobs, and I'll tell you, you know, it was doing a wear and tear on me at my age. And so I pushed myself. I said, you know what, I want to go back to school. You know, because I'd rather be sitting at a desk pushing a pencil or a pen as opposed to doing manual labor. But I encourage you, if you are thinking about going to school, listen, don't be afraid if you're struggling in some areas, because we all struggle in some areas. Get a tutor, and let them assist you. And don't be afraid to reach out to us. We are capital recovery coaches. And so don't be afraid. What's the phone number here? We haven't given out the phone number.
856-391-7449. You can call us 856-391-7449. We are open for appointment only. So if you want to come in and see what Capital Recovery has to offer, we have so many different things to offer individuals, sober living, housing. We can connect you to inpatient or outpatient treatment. Not just that, we have a whole lot of things that we can help you with on your path to recovery. So again, if you want to see what Capital Recovery is all about and what we have to offer you, you can always call us at 856-391-7449.
And we also have employment information.
Yes.
And so we know that's very vital to those who are in recovery. You know, you might not be able to go back to school, even though I made mention of that. Well, you know, come reach out to us for employment. And if we can assist you, we got a host of lists of information.
Yep. Come on down. Capital Recovery Center. Call us. Who we got?
Yeah, that's the last for the boredom.
Let's do this. Handouts 3.
Handout 3A is addressing avoiding relapse drift.
Yep.
It says how it happens. Relapse does not suddenly occur. It does not happen without warning, and it does not happen quickly. The gradual movement, however, can be so subtle and so easily explained away, meaning denied, that often a relapse feels like it happened suddenly. This slow movement away from sobriety can be compared to a ship gradually drifting away from where it was moored. The drifting movement can be so slow that you don't even notice it.
How it happens, avoiding relapse drift, that word is very powerful. When the relapse take place, if a person experiences relapse, it's not when the actually thing started. It started a while ago, and it just started drifting. That's why you have to have develop a type of conscious awareness of your surroundings, what you're saying, who you're being around with, because that's how it all takes place. It does not happen without warning. It does not happen quickly. It's not something that just somebody else, such and such relapse. No, that's when they actually carried out what they was thinking in their head. So you just got to remember that it's a gradual movement before the relapse take place. So you have to try to, the only way that I possibly can speak from avoiding relapse drifts is anytime I'm thinking something negative or a negative thought comes into my head, I read something positive twice as longer than the thought I had in my head. And then my mentor taught me when I'm having a negative thoughts to say my name out loud. And I said, what? And he says, when you having a negative thought, say your name verbally out loud. I said, I don't understand. What does that mean? He said, if you think in your head right now, count to 1 to 10 in your head. Count to 1 to 10 in your head. He said, I'm going to tell you when to start. And he said, start. And I said, 1. He said, no, count to 1 to 10 in your head. So he said, start. And I start counting. He said, say your name. And I said, out loud? He said, yeah, say your name. So I said, counting, Michael. He said, what happened to the counting? I said, he said, what number is the counting on? I said, I don't know. He said, exactly. You can't do both at the same time. So when you're thinking something negative, say something positive out your mouth. It can't go on at the same time. You can't keep thinking about the negative thing at the same time. So when you having relapse drifts, you got to find something positive, something that will motivate you, that's going in the opposite direction, and you just build on it. It takes practice. I had to do that over and over before I actually mastered it.
Wonderful, good information. Is there anyone out there? If there's any time that there's anyone that want to join in or contact us, please feel free. And that was a great strategy, a great technique.
Yeah, I still use that.
I may want to try that.
It can't do both. One of them gonna stop.
Well, I think that's why I don't know if you've heard, when people get angry, they're like, count to 10.
Yeah, because you can't. And you know, it seems simple, but you can't do it. In order for you to go into a state of depression or worry, you have to think about the problem over and over. You have to think about it over and over. But when relapse drifting is simply something that happens and it transpires, it says this is a slow movement away from sobriety. Slow movement away from sobriety. Let me give you an example. One day you are a program monster. You talking about one day you talk about recovery this, NA this, and spirituality this, and Bible this, and then the next day you don't want to hear anything about recovery. That's a slow movement away from your sobriety. Now all of a sudden you don't want to hear anything pertaining to recovery. That's a slow movement away from your sobriety. You have to pay attention to that. That's part of the relapse process.
It says interrupting the process. During recovery, each person does specific things that work to keep him or her sober. These mooring lines need to be clearly stated and listed in every specific way so they are understandable and measurable. These are the ropes that hold the recovery in place and prevent the relapse drift from happening without being noticed.
Okay.
Maintaining recovery. Use the mooring lines recovery chart. There's a chart we have to list. And track the things that are holding your recovery in place. Follow these guidelines when filling out the form. It says identify 4 or 5 specific things that are now helping you stay sober. Include items such as exercise, therapists and group appointments, scheduling, outside spiritually based meetings, and eating patterns. Do not list attitudes. They are not as easy to measure as behaviors. Note specific people or places that are known, triggers, and need to be avoided during recovery.
Yo, these 4, what she just went over is very vital. This is all part of, remember my word, to go my favorite word, maintaining. It says maintaining a recovery. That word maintain means to keep it in existence. I mean, you're going to continue. I'm maintaining I'm not just in it, I'm maintaining it. So it says maintaining a recovery. One of the things she spoke or read, it says identify 4 or 5 specific things that are now helping you stay sober. Identify those things that are helping you stay sober. It can be a list of things that you can pick, but you need to identify them because they are your locket. They are the people or the things that are helping you maintain it. So you got to keep them at the forefront. And once you identify them, it's just like the first step. You admit that you were powerless over something. So when you identify something that are helping you, people or things that are helping you in your recovery, when you identify them, you got them. No matter what happens, you know these things right here work. They work for me. They may not work. You may not have the same things identified as the person next to you, but that's okay. They are the things that person identified as helping him or her. You need to identify your thing. Do not list attitudes. They are not as easy to measure as behaviors. So don't worry about different attitudes you might have towards certain things. Don't list those because some days I have an attitude about something I really wouldn't care about on Friday. It might be just that day. So you can't list them. And note specific people or places that are known triggers. Listen. These book end right here about maintaining recovery. The first one said identify the people who are helping you stay sober. And then it says note specific places or people that are known triggers. So you got the people up here or the things up here, and then you got the people down here or the places down here. You have to identify both of those areas.
Well said, Mike. Well said. Because there's one thing that I know is that you have to identify those cues. Cues are something that will give you a hint, whether it's internal or external. So be mindful, people, of the cues and be mindful of how you exercise your thinking.
Always.
Always.
Well, it says here, I think it addresses what you just said. It says the checklist should be completed regularly, probably weekly. When 2 or more items cannot be checked, it means that relapse drift is happening. Sometimes things loosen your mooring lines, vacations, illness, and holidays sometimes cannot be controlled. The mooring lines disappear. Many people relapse during these times. Use the chart to recognize when you are more likely to relapse and decide what to do to keep this from happening.
If you can't, when the 2 or more of these items can be checked. Remember the 2 or more items, one specific places or note specific places, people or places that are known triggers, that's one. Another one is identify 4 or 5 specific things that are now helping you stay sober. That's 2 right there. And there's 2 other things. But if you can't mark at least 2 of these, when 2 or more items cannot be checked off, it says it means that relapse drift is happening. Wow. You can't identify
At least 2
people who are helping you, and you can't identify where you should stay away from. It's almost a perfect storm.
Yeah, because you first have to analyze. You got to be very analytical of not only of people, but also of you yourself. So what I always say is take a self-evaluation of what's going on with you, and then if they are good things, mark them down. And if they are bad things, mark them down. Be aware of what's going on in your surroundings. All right?
All right.
All right.
I think, well, the 3B is the actual chart itself.
So yeah, we stop right there.
Y'all want to stop right there?
Yeah, we'll get back with this next week. Again, man, we thank y'all for tuning in to the All Recovery meeting. My name's Michael Williams. I'm one of the recovery coaches at Capital Recovery. If you want to reach out to us, 8563-917449. Also, 1-800-236-2448. Again, man, thank y'all for tuning in for All Recovery meeting. And we got a lot more in store for y'all. Tuesday is the coffee and conversation. Go ahead, Greg.
All right, and so, like we always say, how can we help you with your recovery today? All right, so in closing, I would like to thank you all for coming today. We close an All Recovery meeting with a positive affirmation about yourselves, followed by a moment of silence to remember why we are here. And positive affirmation about myself today. I have been eating healthy, everyone, for the last day.
Okay, get up. My positive affirmations for today is just keep your head up and never worry about if you fall. If you fall, make sure you fall on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up.
A positive affirmation for me is don't give up on yourself.
Nice.
All right, so you heard 3 positive affirmations: eat healthy, get up, and the last one is
Don't give up on yourself.
don't give up on yourself. And let's take a moment of silence while we're here. Thank you, everybody.
Thank y'all, man. We see y'all next week.
All right,
Good stuff, man.
good stuff.
Capital Recovery Center.
Moving right along.